Hello, how's it going? I'm DJ Lonnie Love, coming to you from my space in LA. Me and my Viney Pothos. I am excited to talk to you about live streaming because it's something I've been doing the past 8 weeks while I've been home in my space and in absence of large gatherings. So let's start by what live streaming is and pivoting into digital. So normally I DJ in clubs, bars, brand events in LA, Chicago, and just wherever work takes me. But now in absence of those venues and all large gatherings being canceled, I had to pivot online. My journey with Twitch and all of that, like my channel might look like I've been doing it for a while, but it's only been 8 weeks and I'm still learning a lot myself. But I was excited when Find Your Grind reached out to me because I know that starting to live stream on any platform can be intimidating, but especially on Twitch. So I'm going to run through some of the things that I wish I had known when I gotten started and give you all the learnings that I picked up in the past 8 weeks in hopes that I can give you a quicker onboarding and start to getting online. So what brought me to live streaming, like I mentioned, was the absence of real gigs, but also just with everyone being home and quarantined, I knew that a lot of my friends were down. They were texting me asking, hey, when are you live streaming? And the whole first week, I was just honestly so sad that I wasn't able to DJ and that all of my gigs were canceled. I just took that week to myself to be one with my thoughts. I just needed the time to process and be kind to myself. I'd been talking to a coach actually a few weeks before just about time management, stress management, and one of the big things I learned about was self-compassion. And I'm so grateful for that because that really came in handy with this time period. So week 2 of quarantine, I think it was week 2 or 3, D Nice is starting to live stream on Instagram, and the man is killing it because he's an amazing DJ and he's been in the game a long time. I think some DJs saw D Nice and they got a little bit jealous. They're like, how come he gets to stream without copyright restrictions? He's, lucky because he has celebrity friends. But the truth is he's actually been in the scene, been in the game since the 80s. So he's also not an overnight success. He's been literally doing it for decades. But seeing his success on Instagram, I wasn't sure if there was even a point for me to live stream because I saw, all right, he's got 100,000 viewers. Naomi Campbell, the Biden campaign, Michelle Obama, and Bernie Sanders are all in his chat. What is the point of someone like me, Lonnie, a just like local DJ hopping on to Instagram or Twitch? But my friends kept asking me if I was doing it. I sent them links to all of my mixtapes from the last decade. And I was like, knock yourself out. There's tons of music. And they're like, that's not the same. We need your energy. So I was like, all right, if I'm going to live stream, I got to do this right. So I thought I would commit to 4 nights in a row and just make it a 1-week event where every night I have a different theme. I'll dress a little different. I'll have a couple different props in the room, all things that I have already. So it's exercising a bit of creativity and imagination, leniency with imagination. And that first week was really fun. A lot of my friends said that that was the first joy that they had felt in weeks. And it was just really nice to connect with everyone. We kind of felt like we had a weekend. We had, did some toasts to celebrate just our good health and essential workers and just be thankful for what we had, high-speed internet. But after that first week, I wasn't sure if I'd continue, but it was so great. So I was like, I'll do it again. And it's kind of became a routine for some of my friends to tune in. So with that, I just kept dedicating more time to learning the various streaming platforms and improving my tools. So that's kind of a little bit of my journey with live streaming. Let's talk about, platforms and your options for live streaming. So obviously there's Instagram Live, there's YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. All these platforms have different ways of regulating copyright. On Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, if you're playing copyrighted music, which is most popular music or most music that you'd want to play, unless you're playing all originals from yourself and friends, there's probably going to be some copyrights in there. Those platforms will boot you if they detect copyrighted music. And I'll say that all of them have really improved their algorithms. So on Instagram, I was starting to live stream there my first week, but if every now and then it would give me the boot, even with remixes. So I decided to spend more time investing in Twitch and learning this platform. So the nice thing about Twitch is you'll never get booted because they're leaning into regulation around live streaming and how it's not recorded material. That said, at the end of each set, it does archive what you play under the videos tab, and it will mute any copyrighted songs. So in promoting your sets on Twitch, you really want to promote the live time and not have your friends depend on your archived set because it will be muted. Twitch is a great platform because you won't get booted, but also there's a really great community aspect. The chats, which are so 90s, actually are quite wonderful in this time. They provide a bit more human interaction and feedback between you and your audience. So it's become one of my favorite parts of the platform. There's a lot of customization tools, like the emotes are one of the ones that people notice, but you can also name different features in your channel specifically. There's a huge wormhole of things to get into, and I'm still learning them myself. After the first week of live streaming, I told myself to exercise self-compassion, and I acknowledged that I won't know everything and I won't have it perfect ever. And taking that pressure off of myself has made this way more fun and a more pleasant journey. Because truly, despite having live streamed, I think I'm on stream 24, 25, maybe even more, it's still never perfect. There's always some sort of tech troubleshooting or some checkbox that I forgot until the last minute or something. So it takes some time to figure out, and you just have to be patient with yourself and know that your viewers are there for you. And if you're putting in effort, they'll be forgiving and hopefully understanding too. So equipment, to live stream, you could do it off of just your phone, and that's what I did for a while. So my setup for DJing in general, which we'll go over in a little bit, but it's just over here. I have 2 turntables and a mixer. I know most DJs today, especially newer, younger DJs, are just using one controller, and that's great. That works too. And then if you're DJing off of Serato, obviously a laptop for your music. So I would be using just my phone and what's called a mobile audio interface. This is the IK Media's iRig 2. They have one that's made specifically for streaming. That one has been on back order for a while, so I bought this pretty much as soon as quarantine was announced. I went ahead and added it to my cart because I thought it might be handy. Live streaming or not, I was like, I should just have this tool. So this one has a little guitar icon on it. I think it's meant for live musicians, but you as a DJ can use it using a Y cable, which means your red and white, left and right, combined into 1/4 inch jack. If you have a phone that still has a headphone jack, you can just plug it directly into your phone. I unfortunately have one of the newer iPhones that doesn't have a headphone jack, so I have to use a dongle. Using the dongle doesn't compromise the audio quality in any way, but what it does mean is that you need to be prepared and have a fully charged iPhone because you'll be using it to stream and there's no other jack to charge it. There are splitter cables, but I have found that they're pretty unreliable. Sometimes they create a bit of static on your audio, or the charge isn't that good on your phone, or it shorts. So ideally, just charge your phone all the way up. I know it's hard not to touch your device, but just let it charge and then live stream, and also not touch it while you're streaming, which truly can be great because it means that you're totally present when you're streaming for you and your audience. I live streamed off of my phone for the first 2 weeks, so the first 7 streams that I did. And they're fine. You can add graphics streaming off of your phone. So there are a couple options. If you just want to get up and running, which is what I did, and it works totally fine. Like I said, live streaming, it can be an iterative process, and you can just improve with each stream. You can stream directly from Twitch. Oh, thank you so much, DJ, for tuning in, DJ Phony Stark. If you have any questions along the way, feel free to type them in the chat. I'll try to keep an eye out. So if you download the Twitch app, and how meta is this? I'm on my phone right now because I'm currently hosting Find Your Grind on my channel. At the top of your channel page, there's a Go Live button, and you can select the category. So for me, I was doing music, and then you can just go ahead and hit share. And that was what I was doing every stream for like 8 streams. One thing that I learned later is you can actually hit view dashboard and update the title of your stream. It's not hugely important, but it does help with organic traffic. So for the first 2 weeks of my stream, and I want to emphasize 8 streams because that's a lot of streams to just be doing the same thing over and over. But I was just so excited to get online, and also I was like, I'm too overwhelmed. I'll read all the fine print later. I was live streaming with the title DJ Lonnie Love live stream. Like, duh. I could not have made that any more boring and uninteresting. But if you have the time and you kind of have an idea of what you're playing, I would update the title of your stream. So you could do, obviously, your DJ name. I've seen some people put their Venmo handle or Cash App because they just want to make it easy for their audience to find it. But I like to include the genres that I'm playing, or maybe the theme for my night. So whether it's R&B night or 80s night, I'll put that and be a little more explicit. Sometimes I'm playing multiple genres, so I'll just list a couple as a teaser. So I'll put future R&B and disco house or something like that. And if you really don't know where you're going with it, that's cool too. You could just say DJ XYZ streaming from Chicago, New York, wherever, and make it about your location. You could even just put in your title, Sonic Adventure or whatever it is. But I think if you take a little bit of time to title your stream, when someone's scrolling through the browse section of Twitch, they might be more inclined to click your channel because they saw a word or term or something that jumped out at them. But I think first and foremost, when people are bouncing around, they tend to look at, how many people are tuned into your channel, and also just the aesthetics of your screen grab, like what does your setup look like? So that is streaming from your phone via Twitch app. If you want to level up, there's an app you can download called Streamlabs. And this is the app. And I like this app because it makes things a little bit easier to title. So actually, it wasn't until I was using Streamlabs that I realized you could change the title of your stream. And they make it really easy. It's right up there in the front. There is a pen icon, and then you can update the title of your stream. And then, so I was using Streamlabs with a titled stream for maybe another 3 streams or so. And then I realized, you can add some widgets to your stream. And you can also choose different cameras. So I had used my selfie camera so that I could monitor myself and see how it looked. But if you have another device, or your computer has decent like memory, RAM, all of that, you should use the front camera because that has better quality. And then you could use your other device and pull up Twitch just to monitor how it looks. So if you go into the settings of Streamlabs, there's a number of tools. The one I am referring to is the editor, and the editor will bring up a number of widgets. And you can add things like a chat box, which just basically projects your chat onto the screen the same way Find Your Grind has set up now. And you can also add things like images and logos. So I added my DJ logo, I added my social icons, chat box, and then there's also an alert box. An alert box is for things like when you have a new follower, a new subscriber, or someone's cheering you with bits. And if you're like, what does all that mean? Okay, subscriber is someone who wants to support your channel. They pay $5 a month, or maybe they subscribed to your channel for free via Amazon Prime. If you have a Prime account, you can link it to your Twitch account and subscribe to one channel for free. Doesn't matter what channel, but if you'd like to make it mine, that'd be cool. And then to follow your channel means that they can potentially get alerts anytime you go live. Whether if they have notifications on their phone, they'll get a little pop-up. If they have email alerts enabled, they'll get an email. And then bits are a way that people can support your stream. It's kind of like a tip, but in Twitch currency. And the current bits are fairly affordable, which is nice. It makes it easy for younger audiences, or, money's tight right now. So it's just a nice way for someone to throw up some support without a huge financial commitment. Because I think it's like 500 bits, I think is like $7. So someone can throw 100 bits at you and feel like a baller without going broke, So that's streaming from Streamlabs. Honestly, this is a really great tool, and I use this for a number of weeks. I think another 8 streams or so. So now we're at 16 streams, if we're going in the chronological order. The only shortcoming of this is you can see here I dragged this widget, the chat widget, all the way up to the top of my screen of my phone, and I can't pull it any higher. Shortcoming of this is that the dimensions of my phone are not the same as the dimensions of what you see on your screen or your TV. So even though it's at the top of my app here, in the actual stream, my chat was somewhere on the middle of the screen. So I had tried putting my logo in the top right corner, which I thought looked best, but I couldn't have access to the top of my screen. So that's a shortcoming of Streamlabs. But, you can be creative with it. I had my chat in the middle of the screen and it looked fine. And I just settled on having my logos in the bottom corner because it looked better to me. But these are all kind of bells and whistles. The quality of your stream, what you're saying, the music that you play, that matters way more than any logos or overlays. And overlay is what you call the stuff that goes on top of your stream. So now, leveling up above streaming from your phone and a mobile audio interface. And one more note about this audio interface, you can also use it to stream to Instagram, Facebook, all of that, obviously. But I'm going to be talking a bit about Twitch because this is just, I feel like, the best platform for DJs at this moment. Mixcloud is currently in a beta, and I hope that platform takes off because they actually have deals and partnerships with all the record labels to get the money, to the artist. I'm not really sure how that revenue stream looks on Twitch, but for the time being, Twitch has a larger audience, more established tool, so I find that it's best. But Mixcloud is one to keep an eye on. Twitch is the best for DJs at the moment because you're not getting booted mid-stream, so you're not losing the groove. Like, you can restart your stream on Instagram, YouTube, or Facebook, but if you get booted too many times, they'll time you out. And also, you just do lose the groove, right? Like, you're in the middle of a party, and the music stops, and you have to click on that DJ's icon again, and they're probably a little bit frazzled. They're like, oh, whoa, okay, sorry, guys. They step back from their phone, start DJing again. And no matter how awesome that DJ is, I think it just messes up the vibe a little bit. So to be able to stream consistently and just deal with muted tracks on the back end is really quite a blessing. Twitch's chat capabilities are so fun. Like on Instagram, I think you can see a handful of comments and they just are like pop, 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 pop. It's like impossible to keep up with. But with the layout of Twitch, you can see a slightly longer thread, which I find helpful for someone like myself who, you're working, like you're tending to your turntables, you're picking your next song, you're doing a full-on job. And now you have to add monitoring, a screen, your streaming tools plus a chat. It's a lot. So being able to have chat at a manageable pace is really helpful. And Twitch being built for gamers and a platform that's been around for a while, they have nice features like you can update your chat so that it's follower only to make the pace a little bit more manageable, or you can make it emote only if you are getting spammed with rude comments or just don't want to deal with text. You just want to get feedback with icons. Like there's things like that you can adjust as a streamer and content creator on Twitch that I find very fun. All right, so let's level up, guys. Audio interface. This one is the Focusrite Scarlett 2i2. I bought this 6 or 7 years ago, and it's a tank. They've since made updated versions that I think are probably better. Just struggling to remember the price point. It's a little over $100, but definitely under $2. The iRig, the streaming specific one that has like a nicer dial and more controls, that one I believe is about $100 or $125. This one just has one volume control, but like I said, does a job, and it was $40. If you're looking to buy equipment used, a great site is reverb.com. I'll type that into the chat. It is a great site because, like most secondhand sites, there are reviews for sellers, and it's just a platform dedicated to selling musicians' equipment and stuff like that. So this audio interface basically is a sound card. That's what both of these are. These are pieces of equipment that help translate frequencies and give you control over how loud or quiet something is. So if you're like, why can't I just plug directly from my mixer into my phone? Well, you can, you just won't have the right frequency. It's not amplified at the right degree for your phone to then pick it up. So what this does is allows you to adjust the volume and get sound at the levels needed for it to be audible for your stream. So same thing with this. This is just larger sound card with more capabilities. So we have a larger dial here. If I wanted to, I could plug in my headphones to monitor how it sounds instead of projecting it to a speaker. And there's 2 inputs. So I could, in theory, if I wanted, I could plug my stream into one and a microphone in here, but I prefer to run all my controls off of my DJ mixer since that's a central place. And as a DJ, that's like my command station, my home. So if you're live streaming from an audio interface like this, ideally you'd be using 2 computers because the program you use to live stream to Twitch, OBS, or Streamlabs, both of them take up a fair amount of CPU and bandwidth off of your computer. So to run Serato plus OBS would be quite a lot. If you're using USB sticks to DJ, then great, you have a whole computer dedicated to streaming. I am fortunate in that I had an old laptop that I was thinking about getting rid of, but I was like, let me just hold on to it just in case. I know Marie Kondo said, get rid of things that don't bring you joy, but I was like, this seems practical. So I held on to my old phone and my old computer, and both of them have come in handy. And all the hundreds of cables that I have in my home, I'd previously been like, I hate them. There's so much crap. it's just piles of cables. No one likes looking at it. It's a knot of tech. But every cable that I've had, I have touched at some point in live streaming. So if you are a musician or DJ and you've got a slew of cables, truly, I feel like the one cable you don't have ends up being the cable that you need. So just keep them. You never know when they'll come in handy. So an audio interface, it has a USB input, the little square one. You'll plug that in and then into your computer. And when you go into OBS, you will select, adding different audio sources and select your audio interface. It takes a little bit of learning with OBS. For PC, it's been around a lot longer, so I think they've figured out a lot of the bugs. There aren't necessarily bugs on the Mac one. It runs fine, it's stable, but there are little things that are annoying, like, for example, titling your different overlays or screens. On any other program, you hit enter and it sticks. But on OBS, when you hit enter, it just returns back to the previous title. So in order to retitle something, you type it and then you click off to make it stick. So little things like that about OBS are a little finicky or just not ideal. There's not an undo button if you move something around in your overlay. But like I said, it works. You just have to be patient with the program, but also yourself. The theme here, self-compassion. Streamlabs is another way to stream. I think it's a little bit more user-friendly. Streamlabs has kind of set various things up as widgets, and so you can just kind of click and drag. They've built in a lot of features. For someone who doesn't like coding, if you don't want to get into the weeds of trying to figure out how to customize text or whatever, you can just click through their presets. You could even upgrade to some of their larger packages to make things look the way that you want. But truly, their default settings are great, and I would highly recommend Streamlabs if you aren't looking to get into the weeds with tech. But like I said, I'm not a genius, and I figured out OBS, so if I can, you can too. So that is kind of the equipment and platform 101. Let's talk about best practices. So what's been interesting about live streaming on Twitch is it's truly the wild, wild west. Okay, we got a question in the chat, so let's go to that real quick. Do I use multiple cameras during my live stream sets? If so, what equipment do you use and what camera angles are best? So currently I primarily use one camera angle, which is my phone. I bought an app called OBS Camera to use my phone as a webcam. I go back and forth about whether or not I should buy a webcam because the app is finicky. It's not stable. It won't crash on you, but what I mean by not stable is like if you have it plugged in and you unplug it and you replug it, you might have to restart both programs on the phone and your computer. Whereas, I think other programs kind of pick up where you left off. The OBS camera app needs very specific settings for it to work. So you have to close out your camera app, and I just go ahead and I close out everything except for OBS camera. So OBS camera, it's a little black icon, and then there we have it. There's my camera. And you can choose your front camera, your back camera, and you can even adjust like your light settings. Whoops. Oh, I think it's getting blacked out because it's so bright. All right. You can also have a little quick grid if you're trying to figure out, how to frame yourself. There we go. Flipping of the camera. I'll just use this one webcam like I mentioned. I have taken my other old phone, the one that I didn't throw out, even though Marie Kondo might have suggested for me to. Glad I had that handy. I've been using that as a secondary camera to have kind of slightly overhead my turntables, but I literally just added that last week, so that was like stream 22 or something when I added that. I I don't think it's necessary to have more than one camera. And I say that only because I've had 20 some streams and my viewers have been pretty content with it. My streaming setup is pretty makeshift. Like there's a pile of shoes holding up a tripod, like shoe boxes. I have shoe boxes stacked on top of a stool. For my computer, I'll give you guys the full little tour in just a sec. But, I think it's just working with what you've got. I literally have everything. I'm lucky in that I have been a little bit of a collector of sorts. But everything that I've used is, with the exception of the iRig 2, has been something that's already existing in my home. Some of my audience has been like, oh my gosh, she has like a lot of clothes and stuff. But I'm also remind them that I'm a little bit older than they are. Right? I'm not old, but some of my audience, they're like in their 20s. I'm like, yo, I've got a whole decade of collecting on top of you, ahead of you. So that's why this old lady's got jazzy wardrobe and props. So adding that second camera, it was fun because I think my audience was so used to seeing the one angle setup that they were all like, ooh, she's got another camera. But it's not necessary, especially because I'm not a crazy turntablist. But I am trying to step up my game and get back into scratches a little bit. So in a way, the camera is almost more for me than it is my audience. It's putting a little bit of pressure on myself to gain some confidence, to show off a couple skills, some baby chirps and things. Yeah. And then also camera angle, what's best? So I feel like most DJs will have their camera in the middle. And I think that works great because your audience gets to see you kind of dead on. They get to see both turntables and all that. But I unfortunately don't have very much space where I'm at. I have a dedicated space at home. So that in itself is a luxury, I acknowledge. But I don't have enough space to pull my setup back and set up a green screen. So my angle when I'm streaming, it looks a bit like this. It's like at a diagonal. And you can check my stream out after this. It's just DJ Lonnie Love. But there's like my camera, I'm kind of more to this side, to the left. And then to the back is like a blank wall with like some props that I've laid out to match the theme of my set. I've done everything from like a Throwback Thursday, which is more straightforward, to a boat. We've done a trip to space. And I get a little bit dorky with it, but I think in the time of quarantine, we just have to try our best to have fun and make the best of what we've got. So for reference, when I went to space, I have a humidifier that's kind of a round looking object. I set that up in the back and I referred to it as a unidentified object. I was like, it's not flying, but it's unidentified. And then someone in the chat had to blow me up and was like, oh, I have the same humidifier. And I was like, yo, don't ruin this for me. Trying to have fun. But it was cute because everyone else in the chat, and he was just joking, but everyone else in the chat joined in. They're like, it is a confirmed UFO. It was fun. And I've done a boat theme where I took a hammock and just hung it up over my chair and I called it a fishing net. I have actually a little snippet of that on my Instagram. I did a quick little edit and I debated even posting it because it feels kind of dorky, but I've just learned to embrace that that's like the spirit of my channel is I'm not taking myself too seriously. And I just am hoping to bring a little bit of cheer to whoever tunes in. So best practices. Yeah. So we, I guess, talked a little bit about camera angles. I've seen some DJs do cool overlays or they'll project music videos and they just have themselves in the corner. That totally works too. So then the attraction there is having cool visuals and them in the corner is just for the audience to know that like, hey, I'm here, I'm live streaming, I'm with you. But whatever you do, I feel like it is important to let your audience know that you're there. Whether it's being a little corner of the screen or getting on the mic to acknowledge your audience. Because if you're just playing visuals, like they can just tune into YouTube. There's no shortage of music videos on YouTube. There's no shortage of playlists. The reason why they're tuning into your channel and would want to come back is because of you. So however you feel is the best way to connect with your audience, there's no right or wrong way. There are some DJs who don't acknowledge the chat. They don't talk to the mic, but they just play a really strong set, and they have a setup that where you can see clearly that they've, what they're doing, what gear they're on, and they have great light. Some DJs do just a little bit of mic work. That's kind of where I thought I would fall, because prior to live streaming, I really hated mic work. Like every New Year's when I DJ, I'm like, I have to get on the mic. I need to announce the countdown, and I need to say Happy New Year. I literally would be like, all right, let me get a drink. I'm gonna like take deep breath and like get myself pumped, and then my voice would be trembling. It'd be like, ladies and gentlemen, and it was terrible. I've never been a strong mic work DJ. Every now and then I get in the groove and I'm like, everyone having a good time. It's Friday, like every now and then I can get in the zone. But overall, it took a lot for me to feel comfortable or even inclined to touch the mic. I would just be like, great DJ, not a great MC. Anytime I had inquiries, I straight up just told my clients, full transparency, I don't do mic work. But again, in this time, I feel like you don't have the same connection with your audience that you do in a live setting where they can see you. So getting on the mic here and there just to be like, hey guys, thanks for tuning in, or welcome, I'm DJ such and such, so they know how to pronounce your name. Like people sometimes think I'm Lainey Love. I'm like, hi, I'm DJ Lonnie Love. Things like that are helpful. But you find the balance that's right for you. I think because my live stream started primarily with friends tuning in, I was a little bit chattier with them and a little bit goofier. And even as new people joined, I still kind of kept that cadence. So fortunately or unfortunately, I'm just talking to my chat a bit more than I had expected. But it works for us, and it's fun. So any thoughts on building or growing an audience? Yeah, so I would start by obviously promoting to the audience that you have. When I was first live streaming to Twitch, I had the benefit of running two devices. So I used one phone, my older phone, for live streaming to Instagram, and then my newer phone for live streaming to Twitch. And on Instagram, I wrote in the comments and I pinned the comment. I had just, for better audio quality, for better visuals, or join me on twitch.tv/DJ Lonnie Love. And I would drive my Instagram traffic over to my Twitch. I think one thing to note is anytime you are on a new platform, just like be okay that your audience will be smaller, like check your ego and just know that the people who tune in, they matter, and not to get discouraged. So my first week I was live streaming to 60 to 100 people, and that was like a rush in itself. Don't compare yourself to others. D-Nice has hit 100,000. That's not going to happen, at least not overnight. He's been at it for 40 years. So unless you've been at it for 40 years, be kind. So I was pretty excited. I was like, okay, I'm getting 60 to 100 people on Twitch. Can I do that next week? And I had a feeling it wouldn't be the same, and I was right. So the following week, that Thursday, I hop on and I'm live streaming to like 35 people. It was a little disheartening because I knew what I was capable of, and I knew what I could possibly bring in. So to only see 35 people and tune in to a set that I had spent like all day setting up was like a little disheartening. But I started seeing traffic come in organically from Twitch, just people browsing the page, and they're like, who is this girl DJing in a pink lit room to 35 people? Click. And those people would sit, and a lot of them liked what I was playing. So I'd be like, at the end of my set, hey, thanks so much for hanging out. I'm going to be back tomorrow night at 6 p.m. PST. Hope to see you. And some people would come back. And I literally just kept doing this. And after 20 some weeks, we now have a pretty solid base of people that know when I stream and when to come back. I do think it helps to have some sort of schedule so that if you have loyal followers, they know when to come find you. You don't necessarily have to do 3 or 4 or 5 streams, whatever, all the time. I think it's actually important to, 1, not burn out, but 2, not bombard your audience. People have lives and things to tend to, and if you feel like it's a lot for you to live stream 5 days a week, it's probably a lot for your audience to tune in 5 times a week. And it is possible to overexpose yourself where your audience thinks, I don't have to tune in tonight, I can just tune in tomorrow. So I think you find what's right for you. Some people are doing 5 nights a week, some are doing 1. And either one works. If you do 1 night a week and you're like, this is my 1 night and it's going to be great, everyone will know to tune in. You could dedicate yourself to, this is my 1 committed night, but tell your audience, hey, hit follow and know when I do my surprise sets in the middle of the week, just out of spontaneity or something. Yeah, let's see. Another thing I think it's important to note when DJing on Twitch is that it's different than a club. So some DJs will hop on and play their club set on Twitch. That's fine, especially for a Saturday night. I think people are looking for the turn up. They're like ready to party. But I think you're doing yourself and the platform a disservice by playing the same set over and over. I think now that people are home, they've heard everything already. So it's nice to sprinkle in some new music. It doesn't necessarily have to be independent music, but it could be a cool edit that you found, or maybe a throwback that people have kind of forgotten about. I think it's important to add something refreshing to your sets. To 1, brand yourself, but 2, make it interesting for your audience. And then also, after this is over, when you go back to DJing the club or events or whatever, you want your audience to still feel like there is something new that you're bringing to the table. If you play the same set every weekend, if you play what you've been playing in the clubs all the time, when this is over, why would they go see you? They already know all the tricks in your bag. So I think it's important to keep digging. Right, but sparklers and glitter are special and they are an attraction. That's a comment from the chat. I agree. I don't think Twitch is at all a replacement for a real life experience and human connection, but I do think it is training people and opening people's minds to the type of fun that they can have without leaving their house. So I think even with venues opening again, there may be some people who have always been homebodies, and I think will feel more permission to be a homebody because they can have a party from their couch. Yeah. So any other questions about getting started, whether it's one of the programs, the apps, connecting with your audience, building your audience, stuff like that? In the meantime, while you think on questions, I'm going to bring you over to my command station and give you a little tour of my setup. So over here, we've got a selfie stick. So my selfie stick is taped to the wall with painter's tape so that I don't rip off the paint when I move. And this is for my new secondary camera I was telling you about, aka my microphone. Not my microphone, my old cell phone. Okay. And then down here, we've got 2 turntables. These are Techniques 1210 M5Gs, basically the 1200s, but black with a little bit of blue light. And then my mixer is a Pioneer S9. I decided maybe like last year to treat myself and upgrade to a new mixer. With technology, I tend to be the type who likes to use it until it totally breaks, because tech is very harsh on the environment, both the creation of it and the discarding of waste. E-waste is terrible, so I always am like, I literally use things until they can't go anymore. But mixer-wise, the one before I was using in conjunction with an SL1, which is the first Serato box. and that's only compatible with live, which is now an obsolete technology. So I was like, all right, I'm a professional DJ. Let me get a professional setup. And then now my laptop, see, there's a pile of shoe boxes. Makeshift tripod, it works. And if anything, I feel like I've now justified these shoes, cost per wear. Every time I live stream, I'm using my shoes. What are my thoughts on streaming differently, simultaneously to different platforms? Is it too much to handle just because of chat interactions and such? That's a great question. So I think to start, it doesn't hurt to stream to multiple platforms. That's what I was talking about with Instagram. I streamed to Instagram and Twitch for my first 4 to 5 streams. I've since just felt like it's a lot to manage and would like to focus all of my energy on Twitch because it's a lot of screens to look at. It's a lot of things to keep an eye on. And then also I wanted to consolidate my audience onto one platform. So if you feel like, okay, I have a few people on YouTube or Instagram, Facebook, whatever it is, it doesn't hurt to multi-stream to different platforms. You can do that with a number of apps. One of them is Lola. It's like Loola, I believe. You can use that to cast your stream to multiple platforms, and that could be a great way just to get in front of people. But I think test the waters for a week or 2 weeks, and once you kind of feel a mass on one platform or the other, just stick to it. Some DJs have decided Instagram booting them is annoying, but they just don't want to deal with setting up on Twitch or anything new, so they'll put up with it just for the sake of having a larger audience. And yeah, I agree. It's feasible to be on multiple, but it is ideal to just be consistent with one platform where they know that you're interacting with them. So actually, before I plug in, what I am going to do, so like I said, when I live stream now, I'm using OBS and an audio interface, but right now I'm coming to you live via Skype and Charlie's command station. So I'm going to use the headphone jack of my computer, my secondary older computer, and I'm going to plug this in to the output of my mixer. Let me unplug this. Okay, if you don't already have a roll of painter's tape or gaff tape, totally unexpected tool in the DJ toolkit, but I swear, tape is so handy, especially gaff tape. I am down to the end of my gaff tape, so I'm saving it. So I'm using painter's tape, but they won't leave sticky residue anywhere. And if you need to tape down cables so you don't trip or they don't fall off your table, that is the way to go. So let me untape this so you can see. So out of my mixer, I have an RCA cable, and I mentioned a Y cable. So that's what this is. It is now taking the left and right and merging it into one input, which then fits into my audio interface. And then now we're going to take this headphone jack. It's like dongle on dongles. But we're going to make it works. And that is why tape is handy, because by taping it down, sorry, I'm just rubbing off a little bit of tape. I ensure that it doesn't fall off the table, and the cables are kind of heavy. I don't want the cables to fall off and drag my whole computer to the ground. So now I'm going to tape it back before I plug it in. And by the way, shout out to everyone tuned in. I've been getting questions about live streaming like every other day. There was, I think, a solid 2-week period where every single day I got a question from a DJ. And, I'm always happy to help and share tips, but I feel like this is a really nice setting because it's focused and you can ask questions, and I'm able to dedicate, my time fully just to getting you started. So now plugging in. 。  . 。 . 。 . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . 。 . . 。 . 。
。 . 。
So now plugging in. So check, mic check. We good? All right. So the way this works is that I've plugged in my audio interface, and because I've done it before, my computer kind of auto registers it. But whenever you plug in a audio interface, whether it's like that Scarlett one that I showed you with the USB, or it's plugging in one with a headphone jack, you'll need to go into your computer settings and click on input and output, and select whatever tool you just added. So for me now, I'm still going to have my output be MacBook speaker. Actually, I don't need an output because then that would cause an echo, so it doesn't matter. I'm just going to mute that. But input, I've now selected external mic because that is what my audio interface is plugged into. Now I'm going to give you a little tune. What kind of mood are we in, guys? I feel like this is kind of chill, so maybe we'll go with a chill tune just so you can hear and see how this works. And DJs, if you don't already organize your music, now while you're home, it's a great time to do so. Because when you're live streaming, like I mentioned, it is a lot to keep an eye on. So it is really helpful to have crates and know your music well, so that if you need to kind of quickly improvise, you've got just like a folder of select songs that you know work for you. How do you solve for echoes and white noise? So if you have white noise or echoes, that usually means that so white noise or static, that means there's some sort of frequency interruption with one of your cables. So I would look at your cables, see if they're touching any sort of electricity. Is there something that's causing signal interference? That's why you would hear white noise. If you hear echoes, then that means that there is there's either two audio sources, and when you have two sources, it sounds like an echo because they're coming in at slightly different times. And the other thing it could mean is that maybe your source is just feeding back into the ecosystem, causing the echo. But generally, I think the common mistake that happens, and I'm totally guilty of it, it happens to me all the time. I'll plug in my phone as my webcam, and with that phone also has an audio source. So sometimes the mic from the phone is enabled, so then you'll hear both music through the audio interface and the phone. So the first time I set up OBS, I was like, yeah, I've leveled up, cool, I've set up the phone. And then my audience, when I was playing quieter music, they didn't notice. But once I cranked up the volume to start my set, I pulled up my start screen. They're like, crazy echo, it sounds like I'm in a vacuum. I was like, I don't know what that is. I freaked out and I went back to my mobile setup. But once I took a little bit of time to look at my OBS settings, I realized that the phone defaulted to having a mic. So that's why there were two inputs. Hector, oh, I'm so glad to help. Was there a little bit of white noise now? Oh no, so there might be white noise because I'm a little bit hot on the mic. So let me lower the volume. Hopefully that's better. Also, usually I don't DJ over Skype, so there's another variable there. But I think some static can be from, like I said, signal interference, but also just things being really hot. And hot means the levels are up very high. But yeah, Hector, thank you so much for your feedback. I'm really, I like to be open about sharing information because I think it helps all of us. We benefit from sharing knowledge. We can all grow collectively together. Yeah, so like I said, I just think it's important for DJs, artists, and just all industries to share knowledge because we all benefit from collective growth. Like sometimes, I'll admit I'm human. I get a little peeved if I feel like someone is copying my stream, my logos, all the effort that I put into being creative. But
that also just pushes me to get better and whatever. It's out there. And everything's kind of been done one way or another. So now, should be hearing a little bit of Washed Out, called Chill Tune. Actually, that might be copyrighted. Let me play a non-copyrighted tune. Hold. So this tune is an original from my friend Reject the Name. Coming through Skype, so again, the audio might be a little compromised. Hear a little bit of music. I just wanted to kind of the setup. Plus, let me pull down the volume so that's welcome to my inner lair.
So I just wanted to demo quickly for you how that works. Let me plug in my earbuds, so we can get you better audio quality. All right, so just for reference, that's not my usual DJ sound. I just wanted to demo, plugging in the audio interface and what that's like. So I was using some tunes that aren't my usual DJ set, but you get the idea. So that's my usual command station. And like I said, because my space is a little bit tighter, ideally, I would have my, set up back a few feet and have a camera right there. But because, as you can see, I'm already backed up against the other wall, there's not enough room for me to just put my set in the middle of the room. And forget a green screen. There's no room or space for that. But I've found that my little corner angled camera works. I'm still toying with it every week. I might try to do a wide angle lens to capture more of the room. Because right now when I DJ, I'm currently my head is just cut off a little bit unless I step back. But Twitch is a wild, wild west. People are there just for the quality of your music, your content, your energy. So they'll be understanding and just excited to see you grow and level up. I've had people message me being like, it's so cool to see you, your journey, because I was DJing literally to 30 people for a number of weeks. And just earlier this week on Tuesday, I DJ'd for Dash Radio, and the stream started out with a few hundred people, and I kept seeing it climbing, and I was like, oh, 1,000, oh, 2,000, oh, 3. And we hit 6,000 people on Tuesday. And we were the #1 music channel that night, just from the acceleration of people tuning in. And I was on the front page of Twitch. And it's just like little me with my little corner set up and part of my forehead getting cut off because my camera can't move back any further. But it was fine because I was playing good music And my people were hype, and I fed off the energy of the people in the chat. Like, I saw some people speaking Spanish, so I threw down some Latin bangers and some Portuguese classics and stuff, and they felt like a part of the party. Like, in absence of me seeing them, I try to respond to people's use of emotes and things in chat. Right, I totally agree. Put in the time and the results always show. Hey, DJ Chris, thanks for stopping by. So that's all that I felt was like necessary for getting started. These were all things I wish I had known. A lot of this information does exist in one form or another. Serato has a lot of great tutorials on getting started with your live stream, but also just DJing in general, if that's a hobby that you're interested in. Obviously, YouTube's a huge tool and asset, but the Beat Junkies are doing some free scratch sessions throughout the week. There's just a wealth of information out there. So if you take the time, you'll find it. I was just hoping to kind of consolidate everything in one quick talk for you to digest. Yeah. Thank you so much, everyone, for their time. Any last minute questions before we part ways? I'm going to give you a sec to type. What is my favorite feature on Twitch? Oh, the emotes. Hold on. If you are tuned in right now, let's direct our attention to the chat, because your girl is nerdy and very excited about it. So on Twitch, emotes are like the emojis specific to the platform. And as a streamer, you can make your own emotes. So my first, you get more emotes as you have more followers, subscribers, something like that. There's a whole tier to it. I've maxed out on emotes for affiliate status. You get 6, or maybe it's like 4 or 5. I don't know. But I won't be able to get more emotes until I'm a partner. And there's a whole path to partner. I need to have a higher average of viewers. But I'm hopeful I'll get there in time. But in the meantime, I've got these ones, which I'm pretty stoked about. So the first one I made was a disco ball, because I love disco and every dance floor needs a disco ball. Then during my streams, I sometimes toast with my audience. I don't have the exact glass here in person, but it is oil slick, just like this cup. It's a little martini glass. And I would toast with my audience just because I felt like, we're like, I'm simulating a club. So I'm like, oh, shout out to blah, blah, blah's birthday. Let's go, And I wanted my audience to be able to cheers with me. So I created a martini glass for them. And by the way, other creators, I don't think they don't dwell this much on their emotes. Like, people have just like their face, dogs, fire, like those are all very fun and valid. This is just my personality. I like to make things, I like to make things that make me giddy. And then another organic idea was during my live streams, I was getting really hot because I'll dance. And even if I don't want to, it's involuntary dancing. If I like music enough, my body's moving, I'm working up a sweat. Sometimes I end up DJing for 2 to 3 hours. So I'm a sweaty gal. I wanted to plug in a fan, but I literally have no outlets left. Between 2 computers, 2 turntables, a mixer, studio monitors, a light, there are no outlets left. I'm going to blow up my house. So someone in the chat was like, do you have a hand fan? And I was like, do I? And I was like, yes, I do. So this is just like a fan from Vietnam I got when I visited my grandma, but I will just bring out the fan, not to be extra with it, but I'm just trying to literally cool myself. But now it's kind of like a joke because, this is just so ridiculous. I decided to make a fan in the chat as well. Not for a specific reason. I just thought, hey, it's a reoccurring prop in my my stream. And then now it's come to stand for something when I DJ. Like, my audience will put it out, they'll throw up a fan emote when they feel like it's a hot song or they're having fun. So that is the history of the fan emote. And then my chat started calling me wholesome. And they're like, the wholesome DJ. And I can't argue with them about that. It, like, when I am DJing and kind of conversing at the beginning of the stream before I get into my set, I literally just talk about things I'm passionate about, which happen to be technology, sustainability, mindfulness. And so then they would be like, oh, this is wholesome content, wholesome DJ. And the name caught on. Like, I wasn't saying it out loud ever. And actually, in one of the sets where everyone was overwhelming, the whole chat was just like, that wholesome DJ, though, wholesome twerks, whatever, whatever. I was like, well, okay, I'm wholesome, but don't forget, I'm a bitch or whatever, right? Like, there's that song Doja Cat, I'm a boss. She's like, I'm a boss, I'm a bitch. So then I played that. Sorry, let me. I play that song, but for some reason I have the clean edit of that song, which makes no sense because the chorus has a swear word in it. So it's just like, why would you ever need that? And I played the clean edit. And so as I'm trying to prove that I am a boss bitch, I'm playing a clean edit of a song. How tragic. So they were like, make a wholesome emote. And it took me a while to figure out how to make that visually represent wholesome. I was like, the word wholesome isn't too long to type out into emote. There's not really a literal translation of it. And then with the help of my chat, we decided to add a halo to a photo of me that already existed. So then was born the angel. And then I was like, well, I do play like some ratchet sets. Like I play stuff with terrible words and terrible messages, but just because they're fun party songs. So then I made a devil. And then lastly, sometimes I'll be setting up my place with plants for like my tiki night or like a brunch set. Like you see the pothos behind me, got a bromeliad here. So I decided to make a monstera leaf as another emote. And yes, that is my favorite Twitch emote. I just geeked out on 28 megapixels. What are my plans for Twitch and Mixcloud down the line post-COVID? Something you plan to keep or incorporate, or just for the times? I plan to keep streaming to Twitch even after COVID is over. I feel like I owe it to my audience to stay in touch with them, regardless of how things shape up after this. I really feel a special, like, intimate connection with my viewers and community. But if I have gigs on a Friday, Saturday night, like, of course, I'll be doing it. So I think I'll keep streaming. It will just be at a different time and a different capacity. And I think that, who knows? I really probably won't be able to DJ in the way I used to for a long time. So why not make the best of what we've got with Twitch and just have fun with it? Like, I've kind of talked about ways to level up and all of that, but at the end of the day, I'm doing this like for myself. Like, I'm doing it for my audience. That's what brought me to Twitch. That's why I dedicate time to try and make my stream better. But I have fun with it. I feel like it nourishes my soul and my spirit, helps me keep my spirits up while I'm a little bit down. For some DJs, they just don't like the feeling of DJing to a screen, like a phone. It's weird to be like, how you guys doing? Hanging out? Like it's weird. I fully acknowledge what a strange experience that is. And I think processing the news, trying to stay mentally sane in the house when you're not leaving, or, just maintaining yourself takes a lot of energy. So if you're not in the mindset to live stream, that's okay. Like, I talked about self-compassion at the beginning of this. You don't have to live stream. It's not required. But if you can find the strength and you think it might bring you joy, I certainly think it's worth giving a try. Even if you're a little scared, you might be surprised. Like, I approached this not thinking that I would like it, but now it's something I look forward to. So, all right. Well, I feel like we had a nice little chat. Literally everything I know. I've given you all the tools and all the keys that I've got in my bag. So hopefully that helps you. What would you suggest tips someone who's never touched any equipment but is itching to start DJ, music hobby. Oh, I would check out Serato. They are currently doing, I think, some sort of free download for their software, and that means just DJing straight from your laptop. It is a little bit harder to control and manipulate music in absence of like gear, because your keyboard is smaller, but it's certainly a great way just to see how you like mixing songs. If you have SoundCloud or Tidal Premium, you can link those accounts to your Serato and use music without having to download tons of MP3s. You just need steady Wi-Fi. For gigs, a little bit dicey, but for home use, certainly all you need. So, all right. Well, thanks again. I really appreciate your company and your comments in the chat. If you'd like to stay in touch, I'm just DJ Lonnie Love on Instagram, Twitter, and of course here on Twitch. I live stream Thursday, Friday, and Saturday evenings, the occasional Sunday as well. So I would love it if you hit follow and turn on your notifications so you get an alert when I go live. Thanks so much. Take care. Bye.